to see all of you this morning with happy faces. And I think yesterday we had a good day, and today we are entering into what we call the closed session, going over maybe the same thing that we have discussed from a different perspective. So before I give the floor for Matno to walk through the journey of SPAD, before I give the floor to whoever, then Edith will go first. I was told by Matno. Let me say a few words. First of all, when Matno kicked off his remarks yesterday, he said that he was given a suicidal task. I think committing suicide is not part of our government's intention. We want our people to be confident that what they are entering into. And I think when I was asked by Dr. Najib to become the chairman, he told me it's a challenge. Our interest is to serve the people. So it will be very, I hope all of you, especially our foreign delegates, have had a very good rest, good night's sleep, and maybe dream about land public transport forum. So now that, let me thank all of you for your presence on the second day, on our very first, let me repeat, on our very first LPT forum. And yesterday I mentioned some of it. Our feedback, both from local as well as our foreign delegates, was overwhelming and very encouraging. And I think all of you have covered the relevant issues, I think in a very significant and substantive manner. So yes, I think the participation has also covered a very broad spectrum of panel experts who shared their knowledge and experience in their respective field of expertise. I think it is the good thing. Today we are going to continue on that journey of knowledge sharing. And this is what the objective of this LPT forum. So I hope yesterday's outcome will create more opportunities and traction towards developing a solid solution to real problems that we hope will eventually crystallize into a sustainable outcome. Today's session will, I think, will focus on future plans, how we intend to overcome the numerous challenges to help determine the catalyst for growth. And at Klang Valley, I looked at the population today of 6 million, and they are targeting for 10 million. I do not know how 10 million is going to be. Maybe by the time of when the first MRT will be commissioned in 2017, hopefully. Then I hope I'm still around. Nationwide, I think our car ownership in Malaysia, I just go through quickly before I pass it to you. Nationwide car ownership is 11 million, motorcycle ownership is 9 million, and we have got 500,000 cars registered every year, and choking our arteries, and building more road is not an option. So I think public transport now is taking a front seat, and according to our initiatives that we have given you to our book, to our retreat book, is 50 projects that we have identified for 2012, and DTP Lab 2.0 soon for completion. It will be launched by the Prime Minister. So I think we are all very interested and keen for this closed-door forum, for us to get some insights, exchanges of views, and ultimately, this morning I was reading the Star, and one writer said the Malaysian government has never made decisions based on intellectual deliberation. So it tends to be instinct. So I do not know where he gets his facts, But I think this forum proves that, and the establishment of MANDU and other agencies prove that that's not the case for Malaysia. So now I would like to pass the floor to our colleague from Atkins, Dr. Kruger.
Honorable Tanji, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Let me first of all repeat, it is a pleasure to be here the second day as the CEO of the group of Atkins, together with my colleagues. As you can see, we brought a large variety of senior experts of Atkins globally to this conference, and I share Tanji's impression of yesterday. I think it was an excellent conference we had. I was very surprised, positive surprised by the involvement of the auditorium with regard to the panel discussions. Had to smile a little bit about the excitement on the pedestrian part, the last session we had, but which clearly shows how broad the interests are of the experts here in Malaysia with regard to the transport development, and how much expertise is available within SPAD, but clearly also within the interested people, the stakeholders here in Kuala Lumpur and in Malaysia. I'd like to take the opportunity this morning, as yesterday was clearly a session where, from our perspective, we wanted to make sure that we present best practice on an international basis without putting Atkins in the forefront. That was the idea. Today you will allow me a couple of introductory remarks, I hope, with regard to our company. And to give you an impression, what are the areas in general Atkins is doing business in, how are we organized, what are the fundamental principles which we typically embark on when we are dealing with a prestigious and innovative customer like yours, and what are the important milestones Atkins went through over the last couple of decades in building up a track record that enables us today to sit here confidently and tell you that we strongly believe that we can have added value in projects that you are viewing for the future. Let me first tell you a couple of facts about my company. Atkins has today roughly 18,000 engineers. We cover all relevant world markets with one exception. We are not really present in South America at the moment, but all other world markets, be it Europe, be it North America, be it Australia, be it the Asia-Pacific region, be it the Middle East, we are present. When I talk about presence, then that means both. It is presence on the ground, and it is presence with regard to an enormous amount of projects we successfully delivered in the past. We briefly go through the amount of people we have stationed, so to speak, in the regions. As Atkins is a UK-based company, we are listed on the UK, on the London Stock Exchange, and our shares are broadly distributed amongst institutional shareholders, so we are just a normal stock-listed company. So I have to report on a quarterly basis to my shareholders, and I have to justify in front of an incompletely independent board of Atkins what I am doing with the company. We have very esteemed board members. Give you an example. We have taken Rodney Slater on board. Rodney was the transport secretary of Bill Clinton's administration in the US. Tanji, you might have met him, an exceptional individual who has introduced PFI, PPP, public-private partnership schemes from a legislative point of view in the US. So there's one example. Our chairman is Alan Cook. Alan has been, for a long period of time, the CEO of the second largest defense company. Again, something Andrzej is very familiar with. The company is named Coburn, and with a very international background as well. Now, from an organizational point of view, the Atkins Group is organized in 5 divisions. We have one division that is international, so that does not have a regional flavor to it. That's the energy division. And I'll come back to that in a second. We have 4 regional divisions, that is North America. Europe and Asia are together, and Chris Birdsong, who is sitting here with me today, is the CEO of this region. Then we have the region Middle East, and we have the UK. Seems to be a little bit of an outlier, but this is clearly due to the tradition, the heritage, the history of the company, the importance of the UK market as such. On the energy side, it's interesting for you to see that the work we are doing is really very broad. We are currently the largest nuclear engineering company in the world. So whenever it comes to a new nuclear reactor that is being built, then Atkins is the first company that gets the phone call. For me, if you allow me, I'm a physicist. I did my studies at Columbia University in New York and in Germany. Of course, I'm always excited if a new technology comes out and we can contribute. And the most exciting thing in the energy landscape at the moment are fusion reactors. So not the old fission technology that we all know, the nuclear reactors that are out there in the world, but the new fusion reactors that basically use technology where you melt H2 atoms together and create energy out of that. We built currently the largest ever fusion reactor in the southern part of France, in Cadarache. And I tell you, it's a fascinating project. We are also very strong in renewables. Sustainability is a very important topic for Atkins, and we are always passionate about embarking on a dialogue with our clients about how can critical infrastructure developments, critical real estate developments, how can they be done in a sustainable, in an environmental friendly way. So on the renewable side, for example, we built the largest wind farms, offshore wind farms in the world. We engineer them. And we are also very present in the oil and gas industry. The largest LNG terminals, liquefied natural gas terminals, for example, on the west coast in Australia, are projects that we engineered. On the regional, with regard to the regional business, it might look a little bit strange that my colleague Chris Birdsong is responsible for Europe and Asia. The reason is simply that there is not much business in Europe for us. And that's why Chris and I agreed that his center of gravity is going to be in Asia in the future. We have almost, besides this reactor and the energy side we are engineering in France, we have no business whatsoever on the European continent. And given the Euro crisis, I'm kind of glad about that at the moment. So we don't do any business in Spain, in Italy, in Germany, in Austria, or any Eastern European countries. But we are present in Scandinavia. That's a very healthy market, specifically when it comes to oil and gas, and also when it comes to rail infrastructure. Scandinavia, one of the most progressive countries, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Norway, the most progressive countries, and Douglas is here with me, responsible for our rail business at the end of the table, Douglas McCormick, the team we have here in rail are doing fantastic work in revolutionizing, for example, the signaling technology in Denmark. Denmark's the first country in the world that has decided to completely switch from the traditional fixed signaling technology that you have on the rail tracks, so the physical signals that we all are used to see when we are traveling by train, to a technology that is GPS based and that's sitting in the trains, so in the rolling stock. Denmark, based on the Douglas team's track record, has given us basically 90% of this work to change the way signaling is being done in the country. Huge responsibility, as you can imagine, for us, but a revolutionizing technology. And if you would like to detect a specific pattern within Atkins, this is really what we are all about. These 18,000 engineers, they are passionate to get up in the morning and do something new. They are passionate to get up in the morning and they love to work together with the most ambitious and innovative clients in the world. Listen very carefully and then build tailor-made solutions for those clients. We don't come with a box of solutions, here it is. But as those of you who have interacted with my colleagues over the last couple of weeks, I'm sure that you found out this is a crowd of people who is trained to listen carefully first before we open our mouths and come up with any kind of recommendation or suggestions. With very large ears as engineers. That's what characterizes us, to make sure that the client gets a tailor-made, a specific solution recommendation, and we do that in a very flexible way. It is not kind of a cookie-cutter approach. All kinds of changes, all kinds of adjustments, that's our daily business, and we do that in a very cooperative way. Let me continue this tour d'horizon real quick. When it comes to the Europe-Asia region, Chris Birdsong leading it, his headquarters is in Hong Kong. And you have seen a couple of pictures yesterday that clearly MTR in Hong Kong by far is our largest client there. A very satisfied one, by the way. And clearly a company as such that has over decades, together with strong cooperation with Atkins, learned how to perform complex infrastructure projects successfully. And I think there are a couple of patterns out of that cooperation. Not the projects as such. You have different challenges here in Malaysia, but out of this cooperation, patterns that I think are worthwhile looking at as we cooperate more closely in the future. So, from an Asia-Pacific perspective, the focus I have decided as a group CEO, out of the strengths we have in Hong Kong, we want to make sure that those countries here in Asia-Pacific that are the most capable in embarking on infrastructure developments where we think our knowledge can bring added value, that those are in our focus. And number one on that list, as we expand, is Malaysia. This is why we have restarted now our office here in Kuala Lumpur. We had one over more than 1.5 decades. We have restarted this office to have a clear entity here on the ground with which we can do business. And we will be always very flexible also with regard to partnering approaches on the ground. Middle East, real quick, clearly iconic projects that we have done. I guess all of you have seen numerous examples of high-rises and land development projects where sometimes you shake your head in disbelief. Can that really be true? Is that science fiction? So if you just look at a project like the Burj Al Arab, which is this sail-shaped hotel which is featured in many magazines, typical example for what Atkins can do. This is a project where we really have done it all. It were Atkins architects who have designed this hotel, who had the fundamental idea about the sail-shaped nature. It was Atkins engineers who have engineered it. and it had been Atkins project managers who made sure that it got constructed. And Sheikh Mohammed, the ruler of Dubai, still speaks in the highest praise about what has been done there. Clearly also for him, as Dubai does not enjoy any natural resources opposite to Abu Dhabi, this was an iconic project to attract tourists, wealthy tourists, to Dubai, and to have such an iconic hotel there that then gave birth to many more other interesting developments. Dubai Metro, we have seen that yesterday. Another example, clearly also with regard to the foresight of Sheikh Mohammed there, to build something like that. But also an interesting example how, with the right approach to infrastructure design, you can change the behavior of the public. We had this discussion yesterday, and some of you raised this question, basically saying it's all fine and well that we can construct the metro, that we construct transport-oriented development, but people have to accept that in order to make it work. And I think one of our colleagues here made the point, there are many ways how you can attract the public to change habits. And one of the examples to educate people and to motivate people to use more public transport is to convince celebrities, is to convince the elite of a country to go forward and show the way. Show the way that you can leave the car at home, that it is safe, that it is convenient, that you save time, and that you do the right thing for the environment. And MTR, more than any other means of transportation, is a way to demonstrate that. That has been shown over and over and over in the world. And the Dubai Metro, in an environment that is probably has fallen in love with the car more than any other region in the world, has shown that this is possible. It's exactly what Honorable Tanji yesterday said also in his opening remarks. It is the combination between the leadership here under Tanji and the government having the vision what needs to be changed, and then having the right combination of experts behind it to make sure that both from a social influencing point of view, but also from an engineering point of view, it can be delivered in a sustainable, in a cost-efficient way. We're quick to the US and to North America. We have expanded the Atkins universe recently, and we bought a company there with about 3,500 engineers based in Florida. Not a bad place to be. And this company is specifically strong, again, in transport infrastructure, but also in iconic design in water and environment. So, for example, when Mayor Bloomberg in New York had the task that the Statue of Liberty in New York needed to be refurbished, very complex project, it was Atkins North America who got the call. When it came to the to complex brownfield development projects, again something that featured in the descriptions of my colleagues yesterday, how important it is to revitalize center parts of cities where you have contaminated soil, where you want to convert something that was an industrial area into something that is livable again as a residential area tomorrow. Very, very complex exercise. And also here, both the UK and our US colleagues, as well as the colleagues of Samsung in Hong Kong, are experts for that. So very interesting operation with a lot of airport design expertise also in the US. If you look at the UK, then this example of brownfield development probably is best demonstrated when you look at the project we are most proud about at the moment. I didn't count this morning, I think it's 17 days now, or 15 days until the Olympic Games open. Sometimes I also know the number of hours. And Atkins has been the lead engineer of the Olympic Games. And there are two sentences that I always say in that circumstance. This was the first Olympic Games ever in modern history. The first Olympic Games ever in modern history were due to the work of the engineer. This project came in under the allocated budget and ahead of time. And we are very, very proud of that. The only other Olympic Games that came reasonably close to that were Sydney. Everything else was basically a disaster. And this is something also that you can imagine at any given moment in time. There were probably thousands Atkins engineers, Atkins scientists connected with a project like that. The location of the Olympic Park, for those who know London well, is Stratford. That's a little bit off-center of London City. It was one of the worst old industrial areas in the city of London. And it was one of the worst social hotspots in London. And the development idea of the Olympic Park at the very beginning was, can we do the right thing with regard to a development, a brownfield development in a city, while doing it in such a way that, first of all, we don't create what is called white elephants, so an iconic sports stadium that once the Olympics are over, nobody can use anymore. And there are lots of unfortunate examples in the Olympic Games in the past where this has been the case. Then you have this Olympic Park sitting somewhere in the outskirts of the city and nobody can use it anymore. We just have lost investment of billions and billions of dollars. So that's the one thing. And the other thing, can we do it in such a way that those structures that you have to dismantle after the games, that they can be dismantled in such a way that all the construction projects can be reused afterwards, that you don't have to dump them? And can we use it in such a way that all the brownfield remediation, the soil remediation, can be done in a way that we really clean the soil and not just put it away, dump it in the ocean,